So, when two of the biggest names in real estate decide to go to court, you know it's going to make a lot of headlines. But honestly, if you look past all the legal speak and the corporate drama, this whole clash between Zillow and Compass, well, it actually reveals something way deeper about how the market works, or at least how it's supposed to work. Today, we're going to tune in and try to find the melody that's kind of hidden inside all that noise.
And let's be real, that's exactly what this lawsuit has felt like, right? You've got claims, you've got counterclaims, injunctions, even state governments getting involved. It's chaotic, it's loud, and it really does feel like everyone is playing a totally different instrument, probably in a different key. So who are the lead players in this band? On one side, you have Zillow. They're the $11 billion portal, what a lot of us just think of as the front door to real estate. And on the other side, you've got Compass, a $7 billion brokerage giant. These are the folks who employ the agents actually making the sales happen. So we're talking about two absolute titans with very different jobs in the industry. And when they clash, you better believe the entire market feels it. Okay, let's dive into this. All right, first things first, let's talk about the immediate noise, the legal decision that really brought this whole conversation to a boil. Okay, so to break it down into simple terms, Compass basically wanted the court to stop Zillow from enforcing one of its policies. And that policy says, look, if you want your listing on our site, it needs to be available pretty much everywhere else too. The judge said, no, not for now. Zillow can keep its rule. But here's the thing. This one ruling isn't the end of the song. It's really just one loud cymbal crash in a much, much longer piece of music. So to really get what's at stake here, we need to tune out all of that noise for a second and just listen for the market's intended rhythm. Let's talk about what that perfect rhythm is actually supposed to sound like. You see, at its absolute best, residential real estate is a cooperative system. It is not a zero-sum game. The whole structure is built on this idea that sharing information, and specifically sharing listing data, is what makes the market work for everyone: agents, brokers, buyers, and sellers. And what's really cool about this is just how simple and elegant the cycle is. When it's all working the way it should, it just flows. Listings go in, buyers see them, the market figures out the fair price, deals get done, and then that new data feeds right back into the system, making it smarter for the next time. When this is all synchronized, the market just hums. But what happens when that beautifully synchronized cycle gets broken? What happens when some of the players decide they want to play their own tune, off to the side? This right here is the core of the problem. We call it data fragmentation. When a house is listed in some private brokerage network but not on the MLS, or maybe it's on one website but not another, it creates dissonance. The pitch is just a little bit off, and that tiny change throws everything out of whack. And think about it. This isn't just a small inconvenience for buyers who have to check a bunch of sites. When data is fragmented, it actually reduces how much exposure a seller gets. It messes up the comparable sales that agents need to price a home correctly. It creates all this friction that just slows down the whole tempo of the market. And who's asking for a slower market right now? Literally no one. And this lays it out so clearly, right? When everybody can see the full picture, pricing gets way more accurate, buyers and sellers feel more confident, and deals just happen faster. But when that picture is incomplete, it's all just guesswork. And that guesswork creates risk and hesitation does not close deals. I mean, think about it. There's a reason the stock market is absolutely obsessed with transparency. Thin information creates these huge gaps between what a buyer is willing to pay and what a seller is willing to accept. It creates that hesitation. In finance, transparency isn't just a nice feature. It's the fundamental infrastructure. And the same thing should be true for real estate. Okay, so if the market is out of tune, how do we fix it? How do we get everyone back on the same page, playing in the same key again? I love this quote because, as fun as it is, it just perfectly captures the spirit of what's happening here. This recent court ruling, it isn't just a legal thing. It's part of this bigger movement to, get the band back together, to set up some shared standards so everyone in the market can finally start to harmonize. And let's be clear, this isn't just some philosophical debate. For the professionals who are actually out there every day, inconsistent data is a real operational nightmare. It means extra work, constantly checking different systems, verifying info, trying to explain to clients why things look different on different websites. It is expensive, both in time and in money. Okay, but wait, I know what you might be thinking. What about privacy? What about sellers who have totally legitimate safety concerns or maybe just want to be discreet? It's a fair and important question. And look, the answer here is a bit nuanced.
Of course, privacy matters. And there's always going to be a place for limited exposure for certain special cases. But those really have to be the exceptions, not the rule. The moment that withholding listings from the wider market becomes a core business strategy, that's when the whole industry symphony just falls apart.
And that's why it's so crucial to see this latest legal move not as a win for Zillow over Compass, but as a potential win for the entire market. It's a step towards having clear, consistent standards that ultimately help everyone, from the biggest portal down to the individual agent, just work more efficiently.
And that brings us to the finale. Because all of this, the data, the standards, the lawsuits, it all boils down to one single, incredibly important thing. And that thing is trust. When consumers get that feeling that they might not be seeing all the available homes, or when a house's price seems to shift depending on which website they're on, that trust starts to break down. The whole system starts to feel rigged, or at the very least, just plain unreliable. And let's be real, in an industry where consumer trust can already be kind of fragile, this is a massive problem. So harmonizing around shared data and transparent standards, it's not just about making deals go smoother. It's about rebuilding and reinforcing the trust that is the absolute foundation of the entire real estate profession. So as all of this continues to play out, the real question isn't about which company wins or loses, it's this. Is transparency just a nice feature to have in a modern market, or is it the very rhythm that keeps the whole thing alive?